I knew that I felt like I was home, like I made it home. And I remember thinking, oh, thank God I made it home. And
Hey everyone, welcome back to Spirit Travels. Today we have another interviewer, and his name is Darren. He had a near-death experience that he's going to tell you about today. Thank you so much for being with us today, Darren. You can start whenever you're ready.
okay, well, my name's Darren. Did I lose you? There you go. My name's Darren Schinnerbarger, and I am from Kansas City, Missouri. Chiefs, Super
Cool.
Bowl champs. You probably don't care about that. Anyhow, hey, I got to live and get to see him win the Super Bowl. So they won the
Yeah, that's
next year.
awesome.
So yeah,
Take
so
the
they won a
wins.
couple. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I will take you back. It's kind of neat that we're doing it right now because last Saturday was my 5 year. It's been 5 years since this happened. Since I had my experience. So what happened was I'm an aorta dissection survivor. And I never even knew what that even was until it happened to me. I didn't know that it was a thing. Apparently they call it a widow maker. Okay, anyhow, so it was my experience was Mother's Day 2009 or 2018 May 13th 2018. It was Mother's Day. Um, I had no warning what was getting ready to happen to me. I worked in the car auto industry. I was a senior sales associate, and I was I worked a lot. I worked hard. So I was working in the auto industry, and I had no idea that I had no idea what was coming. So here's how it went. It was like I was going to put it in the show real quick. I was getting off work. I got off work. I've been putting in a lot of hours and stuff. Um, I was just living my life. Kind of for me. I had a 5-year-old son at the time. I was 46, 40, just turned 47 when this happened, and I it was Mother's Day. I was Life was going really good. It's There's some funny things about this whole story about the deal with. Um, my son's mom was supposed to pick me up from work that day because her car was getting fixed. I don't know, kind of getting off topic here, kind of, but they let me take a car from the dealership, and it was like this 2017 Dodge Challenger, the 6.2 in it and stuff. So, well, they didn't know. They just said I could take a car home. I took that one, and my the guy that does the financing, he was like, "Are you taking that car tonight?" And I was like, "Yeah." I went home and I drove the car there. It was just kind of funny because I said, "What's the worst thing that can happen, man?" Yeah, and I go home and a friend of mine comes by and he's like, let's go to the casino." So okay, let's go to the casino. And I was having a really good month. I was making really good money. So we went to the casino that night, and we were kind of partying. And it went into the wee hours of the night. I hit 2 big jackpots, and everything was great. And my friend was like, "You're the luckiest dude in the world." And I was kind of like, thinking, I don't know. Anyways, so we leave the casino, and I'm just not too far down from there, and um, I'm down the street, and all of a sudden it feels like someone hits me in the chest with a knife and starts pulling down because I was like, "Oh," and I started crippling down, and people were like, they thought I was messing around. They're like, "Well, you quit climbing around." I'm like, "Man, something's wrong. Something's really wrong," and I didn't know what was going on. Um, I didn't know if it was I just knew something was really bad. So my buddy gave me to the hospital, and he jumped in the car. We drove up there real fast. We were flying, and we pulled up to the hospital. And at this time, when I went to get out, my legs didn't work anymore. And it's weird when you can, 3 or 4 minutes beforehand, you could walk, and then all of a sudden your legs don't work. So I got out of the car, and my body went and my legs stayed, and I smacked my head on the concrete. And I'm like, whew. And I'm like, but every time I tried to talk, it was like there's a vacuum above my head that was like sucking the air out of me, because I was losing my breath. I couldn't breathe, and I was telling my friend, I'm like, I'm dying, dude. I'm dying. And he's like, no, you're not. I'm like, I can't even say. I'm like, yeah, I am. And so I heard him run in, and he yells, my friend's out here dying, and they come running out, and they pick me up, and they throw me on the gurney. I remember them cutting the clothes off of me, and I'm just, the panic that's going on in your head, like I was losing my consciousness, like I couldn't tell. It's really weird because my dimensions were like crossing, like I'm like, what's going on here, and I'm in the hospital, but I'm not. And anyways, I remember I had all my stuff in my hand. Oops, sorry. I had all my they put my wallet stuff, and phone, and I gave it to my friend, and I was like, get all my family and tell my son I'll be back. I'm coming back. And I didn't know what was going on. And they're racing me down the hall, I can remember, and I'm on the bed, and I could actually feel myself like trying to pull out of myself. Like, it's really a strange feeling. Like, it was like I could feel myself like trying to come out of my body, and I'm like, oh my God. And that's when they were saying, we're losing him. He's code blue. They were yelling code blue. I remember as they're going down there, they had all these things, vitals on me, and they're trying to get me down to surgery. And I just remember one nurse specifically saying, we're losing him. We're losing him, And I'm like, oh my God. And I go into surgery. They do this long surgery. It was like a 8-hour surgery. So I'm going to go back to that. So I had a dissection. I'm in a coma for a month, and I come out of it, and I don't really remember. I don't know what. I'm really confused, and all my timeline of my life is all like mixed up. Okay, so I have to figure out where I'm at in life and what's going on, and all that. So I had a trach in my throat, so I couldn't talk to nobody. I had to write everything down, and when I could finally talk, I called my friend that took me there, and I was thinking, thank you for getting me to the hospital, dude. And so he's like, hey man, what happened? Okay, so I backed up to this because this is where my near-death experience happened. And when he told me this, it all my memory just flooded back, and I couldn't even talk about it for a long time. I mean, every time I tried to say anything to anybody, I would just get emotional and I'll cry. It was a heavy thing. But he said, when they were running you back there, he goes, I heard you yelling for your dad. Well, my dad had died a year before, and I knew that. Okay, so they're saying I'm crossing over. They know they're saying they're losing me. I'm obviously dying. Something's happening. I'm dying, and at my dimension, like my worlds are like crossing. So I remember I was like yelling for my dad to, come greet me, take me across. I didn't see him then, and he goes, then you said, oh shit, holy shit, I'm with Satan. Somebody save me. I'm with Satan. Help me. And he was like, you sounded freaking terrified. And then he said, you screamed, Jesus save me. And he said, as soon as you said Jesus save me, he said, man, the whole hospital, he goes, it felt like the whole hospital went silent. And I literally thought you died. And he goes, I ran back there, and they stopped him, and they said, you can't be back here, blah, blah, we'll keep you posted what's going on. So when he told me that, all of it, I remember that. I don't remember actually seeing Satan, and I don't know why I said I see Satan. I guess because I knew I was in a bad place. But when I was crossing dimensions, I went into this black void, and it was just a dark void of cold emptiness. But there was this energy there that was like a negative. The best way I describe it, I thought it was like the world's sin or my sin or whatever. And I wasn't even really religious, that strong religious before this happened. But I'm not even religious, but I wasn't. I just lived worldly, whatever. And but it felt like just all the negative things that you can, like despair, anger, envy, hopelessness, um, everything that's just negative, but it multiplied and it was like pushing me down. And I just remember thinking, I have got to get out of this place, like, oh my gosh. And I could hear this sludge like uh, dropping, right? And everywhere I looked, I'd see this maroon, gooey stuff. And I was like thinking, what the hell am I? So all I could say was, Jesus saved me. That's one thing I can think to say. I just said, Jesus saved me. And right when I said that, out of the corner of my eye, I saw this spark light up out of the corner of my eye. So this little spark went, and it looked like one little match, and it just started lighting up the whole place. Right, and this white light just circled me and grabbed me. It was like it just like scooped me up, and I was just covered in this white light, and it was, oh my God, the feeling there was like, I felt like I was safe. I made it, and I remember thinking, oh my God, I'm where I'm supposed to be. Okay, I'm cool. Everything's good, like, and I felt the feeling of love and safety, like it was really bizarre. And I knew that I felt like I was home, like I made it home. And I remember thinking, oh, thank God I made it home. And as I'm like looking in this white light, I can look into it and I could see these other colors that were in the light. And there was, of course, the rainbow spectrum, but there was also colors that I've never seen before. And I can't really describe them because um, I can't describe them. They were just different colors that I've never seen before. They were absolutely beautiful. And as I was looking in there, these colors were like moving around, and like my focus was coming in on them. And then I realized, oh my God, these are people. These are souls. These are spirits, And everybody had their own. Some people had different colors. Some people were one color, but everybody was on the same level field. Beautiful, and I say it was beautiful. It was unbelievable, beautiful. Like it was. They were just every and everybody was individual, but they were all collected to all like there. It was like I found my tribe. That's what the best way I could say it. And but everybody looked. And you couldn't look in there with lust. There was none of that kind of stuff. But everybody was beautiful. And I remember thinking, wow, these are people. These are so. This is the beauty that God intended each of us to have on the inside. Like that's the beauty that we were supposed to have before the world got tainted. I guess you know. So about that time, as I'm like freaking out, I saw these people's faces and stuff, and I didn't recognize anybody, but I knew everybody, and they knew me, and they were real welcoming, like, come on in. And so this other being came out and it had it was just a white silhouette, and it was really tall, and it came out and it stood next to me, and I couldn't see any face or nothing. I just remember looking up to it like this, and when I did, you know, um, I don't know if it was my life or my son's life, or it was just life for that. Me not being there for my son's life just flashed through my head, and I remembered, wait, because I wanted a kid my whole life, and I didn't have one until I was 41. So I was like, I don't want to. And I just remember I said, oh, please, not yet. Let me go take care of my family. Please, not yet. And at that right then, I just was like, and I was like taken away. And what's kind of strange was, well, there's a little bit more to that story, because after I left there, I went through this worm tunneling, right? And after I've evaluated, I've kind of and thought about it, and I prayed about it. I'm starting to understand some things now. But I worm tunneled, right? And I went to this apartment that was in Kansas City. And I can tell you that it was an apartment that had like eight apartments, because there was two in the front, two in the back, and same on top. It was an old style, older home, probably from the early 1900s or something. It had columns. Anyways, I was in there and I remember looking around thinking, I was seeing all this furniture that was retro, like looking like pea green and just metal chair. I just knew I was like, where am I? And there was this guy packing a suitcase, and I'm like, where the hell am I? And all of a sudden, I heard my dad's voice, and he said, "Well, son, you did it again." And I was like, "Dad, what?" And he was like, and it was my dad. He was really young. And he turned around and he said, "When are you going to stop scaring the shit out of your mother with your behavior?" Because I was a wild child, okay? And I was like, "Oh man, I know, I messed up." Okay. At the time, I didn't know, even though this is all in my head. I said, "I messed up," and my dad said, "Listen, you go back and you be the man I told you to be and take care of your family. Now your dad's got to go." And he shut the suitcase and walked out. And then I worm tunneled again. Okay. And what was weird about that part is when I told my mom about it after I came out of my coma, I did remember that part. She had me describe the apartment, and I guess that's the apartment he was living at with his friend before he got drafted to the army when they first met. And I described it
Wow.
to a T. Yeah. So she was just like, "Oh my God." And I just knew they met at a skating rink. I didn't know nothing about that part. And I know that I was okay. I was in a coma for a month. And so when I came to, um, my mom was like, I saw my mom's face and she was like, "Do you know what happened?" And I was like, "Am I in trouble?" I had no idea. Um, oh, let me tell you one other thing too that was kind of strange. After that happened with my dad, what was really weird was because I've talked to some other people about this, and it made me, because I've really been trying to figure this stuff out. I worm tunneled again, and this time I was in a war zone, and my dad and my brother were both there, and they were in these old army fatigues, like I'm going to say like Civil War or older, and they had muskets and they were all torn up. And I was in like a new fatigues. We were in this foxhole, and my dad was like, my brother was making these lead balls and putting them in the water and stacking them. And my dad would grab a ball and he was, loading this gun. And my dad, I have to know how my dad talked, but he smacked my arm. He was like, "Boy, you better get to shooting. You're going to get your damn head blown off." And he pulled his gun out and he was like, "Oh," but I could smell burnt flesh and vitals. Like I could hear all these screams and cries. I could smell burnt hair. It was really bizarre. And then I went worm tunneling again. And then I'm going to say why I think this is important. Okay. And then okay, after that, then I went into these weird dreams. Okay. And I can't even tell you these dreams because I thought I was a cow at one time, that they were doing weird experiments and stuff on me. That's the drugs. Okay.
Wow.
All this other stuff was happening before I was actually in surgery completely. Okay. So, and when I think about all the weird stuff that happened to me, I can almost tell you when I started going under and stuff with it, whatever they did, because I'm real clear on everything up to what I just told you. But all the other weird stuff, like, they would try to pull me out of my coma. I told my brother, he was there, and I told him, I thought they were trying to take my bone marrow and were making protein drinks. I don't know why. And he was like, I'm like, "You got to get me out of here. They're sucking my bone marrow out, trying to make protein drinks." And he was like, "No, they're not. No, they're not." And I was like, they had me tied to the bed because I was ripping the bed posts or the arm rails apart and stuff. So I was freaked out. But what I do believe is, I 100% know everything that I just told you. That was real stuff. Like I know what it means, like to cross over dimensions, like, and I believe you. Why I went to an empty void. I know I don't want to be there. I don't know what that was even about. I've even talked to a pastor and stuff, just um, kind of giving my experience and stuff. That black void. What was the most scariest part about it was I realized it was the absence of a God, of God, of
Mm.
And it took me a while to even realize that, that's what was so freaky about it, because I didn't put a whole lot of thought about into it when I was before this happened, but here on this planet, whether you believe in it or not, if you want to, there's a safety because we are of this planet. It's God's here, God's presence here. Call it whatever makes you feel good, but it's here. This place, it was not, and it was freaky. And then I realized the thing about God too is he's timeless. So when I went to the other side and I saw a little glimpse in there, and see, I had to change a lot of stuff about me when I came back because I'm not going to go into detail, but I was hardcore. We'll just say that, okay? And I lived a pretty wild lifestyle. And I knew when if I came back and I got this other opportunity, I have to change a lot about me. And I've done some, I'm not the same person I was 5 years ago. It's okay. What I've realized after I've been putting stuff, God is timeless. And so it's weird because I believe that this whole life thing is like a tape measure. Okay. And we are on different spots of the tape measure, right? But when you come into your life, you're born, the tape measure is kind of pulled out. So we see time on the timeline, right? Mm. But when you die, your tape measure goes all the way back in there again. So in a sense, yeah. So like God, so I was worm tunneling to go back to my spot before I'm pulled back out. So this is just I'm wondering, was I going through different experiences maybe that I've had before that I don't know with the same group, my tribe people that are on Earth, I guess you'd say, my family. I don't know, and maybe the worm tongue, it was not part of it. I mean, I don't know. I know when I saw when I went to that other side that I've never seen anything so beautiful in my life. Like like I'm not scared to die at all. I want to live this life out, and I get to watch my son grow up and stuff. Um, God keeps me humble. I have drop foot, so I kind of have a limp now. I can't run and do all that stuff like I used to. But at least I'm not in a wheelchair because I had to learn how to walk again and everything. So yeah.
Oh, that's quite an experience, and I have a bunch of questions to ask you.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Because I'm going to I'll start rambling. And
no, it's cool. That's what you're here for. You're here to ramble, so don't worry about it.
Okay.
Okay. So first question is kind of general, and it's just when you died and you went into the void and you went into heaven or however you qualify it, did you have a physical body?
Yes.
You did?
I did.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Interesting. Like that looks like the one you currently have on Earth?
As far as I could tell. I mean, I don't know if let me take that back because I don't know if I really was even taking time to say, is this me? I just knew it was me. Now I went to the void. I remember feeling, it was the strangest thing too. I remember feeling suspended, but feeling pushed, like pressure on me. Okay. But not touching, like standing, like, oh, it was weird. I can't really explain it. And it was like a real heavy magnet, that maroon goo that I was talking about. It had a real negative magnetic feeling to it. Like you could just feel this negativity coming off of it. It's weird. Yeah.
Interesting. And when you were coming out of your body, like when you were crossing over, because I think you mentioned that you could feel yourself kind of coming out. Like, what does that feel like? What does that feel like? I guess that's my question. Is it scary? Does it feel natural?
Yeah, it didn't feel natural. I mean, I could just feel myself trying to leave me. Like it's kind of like I don't know, maybe like what a butterfly feels like coming out of a cocoon. I don't know, that
like a new birth. Is it like kind of like a baby coming out into the new world?
And probably a new birth would be a good way to put it without the labor pains or whatever you'd say that you go through. I don't remember as a kid, but I'm just saying I knew that I was exiting one realm and into another.
Wow.
And I could feel like part of me was like, nope, don't go nowhere yet. And I'm like, I've got it. It's time to go. And then I went to that black void. You know, I don't know what would have happened if I wouldn't have said, asked, he screamed out, Jesus save me. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I believe that saying that opened up a new channel, a new door for me, like, I don't know.
That he actually saved you. That's
Yeah.
what it seems like. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so was it a heart attack that you ended up dying from, or what was it that you actually
Okay. So it was, it was an aortic dissection. So what it is your aorta is the main valve, artery that comes out of your heart, and it pumps blood to all your other extremities. Okay. Oh, I need to put some other things in there too. That's important. But I had an aneurysm on the top of the aorta valve, and it busted, and then it tore like a paper towel, like a 2-ply, just it ripped all the way down into my groin. And so,
how does that happen?
how did it happen?
Yeah, like what causes something like that? That seems so. You were just fine. Was it stress?
Yeah, I'm learning that can have a lot to do with it. A lot of it is it's a disease that you can inherit. You can get it through high blood pressure can cause that. And I know that I had high. I wasn't really checking myself. I knew I was told I had a little high blood pressure. Nothing like it was real serious, but I didn't pay attention to that stuff. I just was living a life. But yeah, they said it was going to happen regardless. But because I wasn't taking care of it, it happened at 47 instead of 74. It's one of those things. Yeah. But as I'm with some groups, I'm finding out more and more like people that are young having it. So I don't know why this is. It's weird. But mine was so bad that they had to they had to freeze my brain so it didn't take blood because I was losing so much blood.
Wow.
I had I think my mom said she saw 14 bags of blood being pumped into me at one time, trying to keep me stabilized. And here's another crazy thing about the whole situation, because I believe in God's timing. I happened to be just about 2 or 3 miles away from a hospital when this happened. And we went to that hospital. Well, this isn't a surgery like that. There's a ton of surgeons that are, a lot of times people have to get life flighted to certain surgeons that can do this kind of surgery. Well, my surgeon, Dr. Keith Allen, great guy, happened to be doing a rotation at this place. Okay. And I've never even heard of him. And he just scrubbed out because it was early in the morning, because we've been up all night drinking and doing our thing. He just scrubbed out to go home. And when I showed up, and he scrubbed back in and did an 8-hour, 7.5-hour surgery on me. Went to a full shift. Yeah. And what's crazy too is after I had come out of the coma, like the chief surgeon, the head of that hospital, the head surgeon, he came in and talked to me. Now I'm still kind of like I don't understand really what's happened to me, but he came in and I remember him talking to me. And he said, "I just want you to know how lucky of a man you are, because you should be dead." He goes, "I don't know how you lived through this. I've never seen an aneurysm this severe and someone pull through it. You're a walking miracle." And he said, "And your surgeon," he goes, "I've never seen a surgery, and I've witnessed a lot of it, done so orchestrated so beautifully and so precise." I mean, and I can't remember the words he used, but he basically made it sound like it was a beautiful orchestra that he just conducted, and and he just said, "I've never seen anything like it." He was like, it was picture perfect. And so then when I went for my follow-up, and I saw my Dr. Allen, and I said, "Oh, the man with the magic hands." And he said, "What's funny is because surgeons sometimes they save lives all the time, so they get kind of this, they can get an ego about themselves, right?" I've met some. I used to work at Gator Med Center, and he said, "Man, don't give me things. You need to thank me upstairs, because I'm glad we're talking, but I don't know how you are, and I'm thrilled."
Wow.
We've become pretty good friends after this. So.
That's amazing. Yeah. That's a miraculous story too.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And Okay, so give me one quick second. Okay, okay, I have a few questions now, which is when you talked about how you asked Jesus to save you, you saw light, and then you saw like a sea of people, beautiful people of different colors.
Mm-hmm.
Where were you? Like, were you in, like, some people say they're in a field, some people there's just in like a white room or white light, or where were you?
I
Yeah.
was in the nucleus of the white light. Okay, like this white light just kind of grabbed me, and I was right in the center of it, and all this was going on right in the center. And it took a little bit. Okay, at first I'm just in white, just engulfed in white light, and I'm just thinking, I just felt okay, I'm safe, you know. And but then when my eyes, it took a second. Once I started focusing, I was like, I just started seeing these colors slowly kind of come out, and the more I focused, the more beautiful they got, and the more of them got more colors, and they started coming out. And then I started seeing faces on them, and they were looking eye to eye, like we're kind of, you know, just making eye contact, different faces. But like I said, the thing about, you know, like here on Earth, we judge a lot by appearance. You know, there's no judgment there. You couldn't look. I mean, there was no, like, when I say lust, I don't mean like just sexual. I'm just talking about the whole vanity part of it. You couldn't. That wasn't even an option there. Everybody was on this exact equal but extremely high, beautiful vibe. Okay, so there was no. You couldn't
Like
even do that.
spiritual.
It was spiritual, but everybody had an individuality to them. So it wasn't just like, oh, we're one light, but we were. But as you look into the light, and you saw the individuals again, you know.
That's awesome.
And
And you know,
it's really cool.
you are the second person to tell me. There was another gentleman I interviewed, and he said that he got to see the face of God. And when he looked at the face of God, he saw exactly what you're describing, which is a whole bunch of people inside the light,
Yeah,
all different like faces and all different, but they were all inside. And so to hear that from you too, that makes me think like, wow, there's got to be something to this then. That's really,
it really is. I mean, it shook me to my core. And what's crazy, once how it came back about, because when I first came out of that coma, I didn't remember that part, and I didn't remember anything until my friend said that. When he told me, I mean, the memory just came back, and I dropped the phone, and my mom and my family was like, "What's happening?" I just started crying, and every time I tried to tell them why I was crying, I couldn't get one word out without just losing it again. When I finally could get up there, I was just like, I was writing stuff down because it was so overwhelming. It was so powerful, and but you know, when I came out of my coma, I didn't know my dad had died, and he died a year before that. There was a lot of things. My whole timeline of my life was kind of like, where am I? What part of my life am I at right now? Like, I wasn't really sure how old I was at first. You know, it took a little bit to kind of get everything kind of
wow,
lined back up. You know what I mean?
that's
And
crazy.
that might have been because they froze my brain. I don't know.
Well, it might have been, but I think like I also could have had to do with the fact that you visited a spaceless, timeless place.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then had to come back and resituate yourself in space time.
Yeah, and then I'm going to say one thing too about the timeless thing. I always had a hard concept of understanding how the time works, but it is timeless there, and I feel like when you go there, and anybody that you meet, it's like you haven't even gone that long, or they haven't been waiting that long for you, if at all. You know, it's just kind of like, hey, wait, hey, hi, I just got here too. Well, back here it's 25 years. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I believe that.
that's
And,
great news for me. I love that.
and I believe everything is happening at the same time, but when you come out into this body form, it's on a timeline, but it's all happening, boom, right now. But we see it. You kind of,
Yeah.
you know, well, yeah, think of it on a tape measure. Okay, so think of it like if you were like, okay, I mean, this is just a hypothesis. Okay, you got a 50-foot ruler, and you're like, okay, I want to come out at 46.5 feet. Okay, that's where you're going to go. But you're in this ruler. So we're all in right there. So we got to pull the rule out. That's where you're gonna experience your time. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Your
That's
time's
a
up.
great analogy.
You're back in there.
Yeah.
You know?
I think that's a really good analogy considering like we can't really conceptualize timelessness, but I think that's a good analogy. What you're saying is like we're actually all in this ball, and then on Earth we're like put on a line. Yeah. I think that's a good analogy.
And
I
what's
think of
crazy?
those things a lot, actually. I agree with you about the whole timelessness and the implications of that too. Like if when we leave our body, we're entering a scenario where time has happened all at once and is happening. And so what does that even mean for like the future and the past? Like that means it's all already happened and happening.
Yeah.
So
yeah. It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
So I'm glad I got to come into a time though we can do like what we're doing.
Me too. Yeah.
You know, like, well, actually, I probably wouldn't be here telling this story if this happened to me 20 years ago, because they didn't have they weren't that advanced in their surgeries and making things. You know what I mean?
That's true. And wasn't as common to hear these kind of accounts, right? People didn't generally share them all the time either.
I know.
Yeah. So I agree with that. How would you say this experience has affected your spiritual beliefs? Like you mentioned that you've changed a lot, and I want to know, how have you changed and how has it affected your spiritual beliefs?
Okay. Well, I'm not big on religion, but I do believe in Jesus, and I believe in his messages. And he wasn't religious either. You know what I mean? That's about as much as I can say there. But I believe in prayer. I believe in a relationship with your creator. And I do also notice like one thing, like I see the beauty in people differently. Okay. Like, I don't know if it's more compassion maybe I have, or I don't know what it is, but like I get these weird things where I just feel like I need to tell someone, you know, like this girl at this little, she was not a little girl. I'm 52. She was probably 24. Okay, she was the cash register. She was working, but something just sparked me and tell her she needs to know that she has a bright light. It's like she had this beautiful energy about her. I don't know. All she did was give me my change back and say have a nice day. I have no idea but so I had to go back in there and tell her that. And just like, don't freak out. I'm not a creep. I'm just letting you know something special about you and you're doing good. I don't know.
Wow. Yeah, it's like you've now tuned into like the spiritual side of things, like because that's what it feels like when you're telling me these things, like that something is talking to you outside of just your own brain now.
Yeah, it is. And I'm trying to learn how to listen to the word of God, you know. I wrote a poem many years ago called No Time to Listen. And then when I read it later, I was like, oh wow, that makes total sense. But it was I've been trying to learn how to listen to God's message, and sometimes you just got to be patient and just chill, you know. And sometimes things you think, why isn't God giving me this? Well, because you're forcing something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I could go into a long story of I'm not going to do that right now. I'll just tell my story, but have God trying to shake me to my core, make me listen to things. And, I don't know. But the beautiful thing was my son gets to have me. I'm real close with him. You know, he's 10. He's going to be 11 now. You know, and I'm grateful for that.
It's a blessing. Yeah, I have two of my own. And to watch them grow up and become human beings in the world, it's scary and also a blessing.
It is scary because things are a lot. Man, things have changed so much in the last 5 years. It's bizarre, but you know, we got to give them love.
Okay, hold on. I still had another question.
Okay.
What would you like everyone to know from your experience?
What I like everybody to know from my experience is this: slow down. Don't let the in, the liar of the world lie to you. Okay, and what I mean by that is, know your own beauty. Is it? I mean, we so much the stars and all that crap. If we really saw who they were, they're not as beautiful as they look. Okay, don't just learn your own beauty. God gave you light inside, and just like a plant, you have to take care of it. You have to nourish it, and that light will get brighter and brighter and more beautiful and more vibrant. The more you learn to love yourself. But I do believe you have to have a connection with God to get that light nourished. But if you sit there and just try to pollute it with fictional crap or stuff that's not, like a lot of, like when you just try to delude yourself with drugs and alcohol or steroids because you're trying to get this body, or you want to, whatever it is, and I really feel bad for women, because women really go hard, with these. Look at Madonna now.
Yeah,
She looks
completely
weird.
different. Yeah.
I know some of them look like that, but growing old is one thing I've learned. Growing old is a blessing.
Yeah.
Not everybody gets that. But for some reason, people think that, I'm just turning ugly. No, you're not, man. You're going through the process, and you've earned this. I've earned every wrinkle, every scar I've got. I've earned it, and every wrinkle and every scar has a great story behind it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what it's about, and just that love of yourself. And there is something coming on the other side. Life's short; it goes quick.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And I think that's what is hard to grasp for so many of us, is that life actually is short, and we don't feel it, right? Because we're living it day to day. But
what's crazy,
yeah,
as the older you get, every decade goes quicker. So like
I say
zero
the same thing.
0 to 20 like took forever. You're like, oh, I'll be forever before I'm 40. Then you're like, well, I'm 40 already. Holy crap! And then now I'm 50, and I'm like, I remember at my 40th birthday, I had over the hill balloons. I'm like, what the hell? I'm not over the hill. And I'm like, oh, the hell I'm not. I am. 80. That's pretty average for people, I guess. 75, 80.
Yeah. I know, right? It goes faster, and then every year I say it goes faster than the year before, and it's like I feel like as I get closer to like later on in life and closer to death, I start valuing things differently. Like things that I value more are like peace and relationships and people and connection, God and spirituality, and like the things that I feel have more of an eternal like value than like just a temporary value. You know what I mean? Not that the temporary completely goes away, because I still live here, but I think that there's so much more of an emphasis or like a yearning for the things that are long lasting,
Yeah.
It's really cool that
cool.
happens. Yeah.
And I say, don't sweat the small stuff. And when you really think about it, it's all small stuff.
It really is. It doesn't feel like it in our little brains, but as we get older, I think you start to see it more.
It's small stuff. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, totally.
I tell my son that all the time. Because he's at that age of going into
everything is a big deal.
Yeah, and you're like, listen, dude, it's not, and you'll figure it out. But you have to go through it. So.
My kids are the same. They fight over the pettiest things, and I'm trying to show them that these things are petty, but they don't always get it right away. I wanted one last question I forgot to ask you, which is, when you were on the other side, were you at all cognizant, like were you able to see, hear, or feel the people who were still here on Earth? The way I'm asking this is, like, for example, when people pass away,
Mm-hmm.
Like loved ones here on earth may say things like, they're always with me, they're always hearing me, they always talk to me. Is that actually the case? Or when people pass, are they in a completely different place where they can't really hear what's going on earth?
I didn't really at that from my experience right then. I didn't I didn't know what was going on down there.
See people on earth.
I wasn't there. Yeah, I know some people float at the top of this room and they see stuff. I didn't get that opportunity. I didn't go there. You know.
Cool.
Now later, when I was after that experience, so when I was in my coma, I'm actually still in the coma. I could actually I knew some people that came and visited me, but they never woke me up for it. But I could hear them in my head. It's true. I mean, it was real.
I've
Like
heard that.
A friend of mine came up and it was kind of like in my dream, and she was crying. Well, then I got a note after I came through that she came up to see me and wrote me this note, and she was so sad, blah 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 blah. And I was like, whoa, I heard you. I mean, I heard my sister, but I didn't. But that was just in the coma.
That people in coma can hear.
Yeah,
I've heard that from someone else, from a nurse friend of mine. So
you can. I mean, maybe not everything, but I definitely heard something. So
okay, good to keep in mind. I think also the idea that when we cross over, we may not necessarily hear or feel the people on earth, maybe not right away. Like maybe if you had stayed there longer, maybe you would have the option of seeing people on earth. I don't know. But I think that's kind of like a little bit of a comfort, because if people are dying like in tragic situations, it would be hard for them to go if they're still kind of tied to stuff that's going on the earth, I think.
Yeah.
So I think that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, the only time I even thought about what was going on Earth was when that white
angel kind of thing.
And people have asked me, we think that was Jesus? And I'm like, maybe, I don't know. It was just it was all white. There was not colors. It was just a really bright.
Sounds like white. An angel.
Yeah. It sounds, yeah. So
and I don't know. It's large, right?
Very large. And we didn't exchange words.
Yeah.
It didn't say nothing. Yeah. It was just kind of like when I looked up to him, then all of a sudden, it was my son's life or my life, but I just saw my absence out of this world and my son and all these things. And I was like, whoa, no, wait, please. Not. Then I realized, oh my God, I'm not even on Earth. I'm not.
Yeah. Wow. It took you that long to like realize that. Wait a second. Maybe I'm.
It's like, well, can I come back? Can I take a rain check, please?
Yeah. Wow, that's cool. Interesting. And I've heard what's interesting to me also is that so many people describe these light beings as very large. Yeah. And I'm always struck by that they're very large. People tell me 7 to like 10 feet. And
I'm 6'5", and it was a good 2 feet taller than me.
Yeah.
I would say maybe I looked up like this, like.
But you weren't scared of it. Were you scared of it?
No.
Not at all.
Not at all. No.
That's interesting. All right, cool.
Well,
Darren, I appreciate so much you answering all of my questions.
It was fun.
I know I have a lot.
No, it was good. I liked it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Sometimes it's hard just to tell the story and no one asking any questions unless I have an audience or somebody that I'm talking to, so it's cool. I like when you ask questions.
I appreciate it. And I appreciate that you that you told your story without me intervening. But I'm thankful so much to you for coming on here and for sharing your experience, because I could tell like when people come on and they share their experience and they get emotional, it makes me emotional, because although I've never experienced it, I believe you. And so to hear like these things and hear some of the different people say the same things. Yeah. To me, that's like, okay, there's a universal experience that's happening here. Yeah. And
the good news is we all are going to experience it one day. We just but you
I'm
will.
looking forward to that. Yeah. And we're all going to see each other one day in heaven and be like, remember we had the interview on Earth about this?
Yes. That'd be awesome, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Totally.
And that's one thing I was telling people, those colors I saw, everybody was in fellowship with each other. Like it was like they were all, I don't know what they were doing, but and they weren't happy. They were joyful. You know what I mean? The difference between joy and
It's
happy.
like deeper. Yeah.
Yeah, they were just joy. You know, happy is usually provided by something external coming to you. Joy is from internal out, and that's how it was, that joy. So
Yeah.
it's really cool.
That's very cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing. I feel very like
problem.
uplifted right now.
Oh, good. That's so glad.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
This
Yeah,
interview made my day.
yeah. I have a whole lot of other stuff. I'm thinking about maybe putting a small book thing together, but I don't know yet.
Yeah, you
That's something to
should.
talk about. Yeah, because it would go a lot deeper than just my experience. There was been God had been calling on my life, and I don't want to go into all that detail, but I lived a pretty off the chain life for a long time, and God was trying to shake me.
For a good story, I want to hear it.
It's kind of crazy. I got in a little bit of trouble.
That's okay. That's okay. I've heard a lot of accounts, and the ones that have the most turbulence are the most compelling. So
yeah. There's a lot of turbulence.
Yeah, that's a life. That's life. And
Absolutely.
have a great week.
Okay, you too. It was a pleasure, man.